I would get into that Warhammer 40k where you paint the little figurines and like set them up in a little planetary battle on and everything before I do that.
Well, and that's also a game. I don't know how the game is played, but I know that like you can bring all your toys
we roll
to like roll dice and be like, all right, got a bad roll, can only move fucking one grid.
My understanding is it's you've got points that you use and you're rolling die, and the characters all have intrinsic values, attack points and defensive points, and there's a cohesive system of rules and everything that you use to cast your army that you've meticulously hand painted at theirs on some fake scape that you've created out of an old air hockey table.
I would wager that's a big pay to win hobby.
Do have an old air hockey table. No, I'm not doing any of that. No. I don't like air hockey. You gotta.
I mean, you're super into Warhammer. Like
no, I'm never painting
and everything.
I already said I'm not getting into that shit and painting the little characters and everything. That's the bridge too far for me. That's too fucking lame. Plus, I don't have the artistic talent. Maybe if I thought that I could, because I'd end up having to buy them, and they're stupid expensive to pay someone to hand paint each one. It's not.
And aren't they just plastic? Like they're not even metal. They're just plastic pieces.
That's
right?
my understanding. Yeah.
That kind of takes away from it.
I could be wrong.
Not feeling like if you bought a dragon that was really heavy and metal, that'd be kind of neat. But if it's just like $60 for a squad of space marines and it's 8 of them and they're all plastic, it's like, oh, I've been had.
Yeah,
and
I don't know
the
how
paint's
that
expensive
works.
probably.
I know.
Doesn't the main what's that dude's name? The Superman actor who's into Warhammer?
Henry Cavill.
Isn't that the version of Warhammer he's into? Like he does the tabletop.
He does tabletop. Yes, he plays tabletop. He has multiple. I'm sure he's a millionaire many times over, and he has connections. I'm sure he has all the armies or many armies. He's talked about. I've heard him speak about it, and he knows more about it than I do, which is frankly saying something at this point because I spend a couple hours a day just listening to lore about it, and I have for a couple years now.
Now we're on Netflix Geeked, so let's talk about what you guys personally geek out about. Henry, let's start with you.
Specifically, which universe or just?
I mean, just anything.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
How long have you got?
You've got so many, and I've got none.
Yeah, I was like, how much time do we have?
Listen, I'll sit here all day listening.
Ruling out The Witcher.
Yeah, no, The Witcher. Okay.
I mean, the easy answer is Warhammer 40,000. That is my jam. I have been into it since I was 10.
What's your army at the moment?
Custodes.
Yeah. I'm going Necrons next year.
Necrons? Okay. All right. Cool.
Were you into?
Yes.
Were you into this before, or is this a new thing?
Let's just assume that anything nerdy I've been doing for a good 33 years.
We could talk for hours.
Yeah. No, so yeah, that's my jam, and that's the stuff I do in my free time.
That's amazing. Amazing. I'd love to see your armies. Do you paint them yourself?
I do. Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Is it?
That is really. It's cool when it is
cool in
I
a
like
certain
painting.
world.
I like painting. There you go. So I think I'd really
so
enjoy
therapeutic.
that.
I think you'd be surprised.
But he's super into it, which gives me a lot of faith for him running Amazon show.
Has he run any other shows?
No, I don't think so. I think he was trying to help. I don't know, but I know he was trying to help out on The Witcher, which is what got him into trouble.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like when you're the actor and you're just like criticizing the showrunners and the script, even if you're right, that's not your job. But now it is his job, and I hope he does a great job. I would love to like something. I'm doubtful. It seems really ambitious for a first-time showrunner.
So without getting too nitty-gritty into what Warhammer is and what Warhammer 40k is, I don't know what the show's going to be, and there's no way of knowing what the show will be because it could be the great big overarching plot. To me, I said this the other day, and I thought it was spot on. Like Warhammer is like if you took the Bible and mixed it with Star Wars. It's very close to that. So there's
just completely fictional.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So he could do a gigantic story about the main characters, as it were. Or he could do this small little story that's just on one planet where there's one war between two factions, and it could be. So it could be. I don't know what he's going to do.
Take place over like an ungodly amount of time.
Yeah, it's 40,000 years. Yeah, it's tens of thousands of years of history, and then there's also current events. So like there are current events happening right now. They're in the 41st millennia, the year 350 or 450 or something roughly.
Characters from the Warhammerverse, the universe that I want to be, but I can only really be one, because once I'm one, then I can't be others. If it were to ever happen, if there were to be anything live action, I would have to be very aware of that. It is obviously character rich, especially the 40k universe. I suppose I could play a different character from the Warhammer Fantasy universe versus the 40k universe, but again, I'm now just dreaming. So I'd have to speak to the guys at Games Workshop and see what happens.
5 years, you'd make a very good Greg Horizon, I think.
That would be exciting, yes, but then I burn Primarchs and the Captain General, so I don't really know.
I could get into a show that had a new cast every year. Like
I was gonna say, like the whole world of Warhammer lends itself to like a really entertaining anthology style series where it's like 10 episodes on one war on one of the fucking rat planets, and then the next one is totally different. Maybe they go back in time 500 years and it's a war with the Tyranids or something. Like,
and if you don't love it, then you know that the next season will be something different. I'm thinking of The Wire. I don't think you've seen The Wire, Taylor.
I've seen the first season.
Okay. So the second season has a whole new set of criminals. There is a little commonality amongst the cops, but it kind of feels like we're starting fresh every season. There's a new group of bad guys that we're pursuing. It doesn't just hang over.
Or American Horror Story might be a better one.
Thank you, Kyle. As I processed it, I'm like, there's a lot more overarching plot than in The Wire than I gave it credit for. But if it went from Game of Thrones to House of Dragon to something else, season by season by season, where it's the same universe but a whole different cast, try that.
To me, the better story. So there are stories about like the Emperor and his 20 sons, which is basically God and his 20 angels, half of which turned evil and half of which stayed loyal, roughly. There's stories that focus directly on them, but they're so godlike and powerful that it's silly almost. Like I almost want them to do one. Remember the book that you read that I sent you about the Krieg? The Krieg are this super warrior planet. All they do is make babies to go fight, and they have this. They want to die for the Emperor because their planet rebelled hundreds of years ago, and so now all a Kriegsman wants to do is die for his Emperor in battle, who almost throw themselves into the most dangerous part of the most that's what their request when they finally came back after their war had ended. Then the people who rebelled against the Emperor had been all killed, and the planet had been poisoned in the process. They send a message to like Earth, and they're like, hey, we got it now. We're loyal to the Emperor. We're sending you some ungodly amount of, we have 1,600 regiments ready to fight. We only have one request, that we be sent to the worst engagements, the most dangerous battles, wherever the Emperor will throw us into the heat of combat. We pray this. And they're like, oh shit, okay. And so now they're like the most hardcore of hardcore soldiers in the 40k unit. Like as far as humans are, they're just regular people. There's nothing special about these guys other than the fact that they never take their gas masks off ever, which is pretty hardcore. And they kill people with shovels, which is neat too.
Yeah.
Do they need the gas masks to breathe?
On their planet.
Their planet is poisoned, so they just never take it off. And so they often operate on poisonous planets. Their horses have gas masks too. They ride horses that are like genetically engineered super horses that also never take their gas masks off. They're super hardcore. It's a fun story.
Yeah.
Something like that would be a good show. But,
can they be beaten? Does anyone beat them?
Yeah, they get into these like engagements where they'll lose like millions and millions of their men, and these artillery engagements that last decades on planets, but they'll just grind the enemy down. The main thing that humanity has going for them, besides the super soldiers, is there's just so many of us. We have these hive planets with like 1 trillion people on them. Like one city will be many billions and billions of people just built higher and higher, where we just breed people to go fight.
Horrible
I watched those
Krieg lab
YouTube videos like you do, where humans are always like top of the food chain. And when they're not top of the food chain, they still are. Like, we retrofitted cannons to like merchant ships, and we have this pirate navy, but we're so clever, we still win all our fights. And it's like, I'd like the humans to suffer a little bit. Why are we always the heroes that step forward?
The 3 body problems coming out.
That's true. It's like when I play NHL season mode, and I go 82-0. There's no, and then I go 16-0 in the playoffs, 10th Stanley Cup in a row. No one on my team is even like, the names are totally made up, like meant to be like a Finnish sounding dude. There's no satisfaction there anymore. Once I've gotten Vladimir Tarasenko to 1,200 career goals.
Kyle, I forget if you told the story of the ones who run on PKN or PKA.
A little bit of it.
Do you remember? If it's PKN, I assume most people haven't heard it. That's
probably PKN.
Okay.
I don't recall exactly though.
Anyway, the humans are this race that everybody laughs at, and people choose this motto. And it's like, we're the ones who crush, we're the ones who smash, we're the ones who are brave. And the humans said, we are the ones who run. And everyone also, they did a lot to avoid war because they were just sort of peace-minded by default. But when pushed, they attacked back and won, and then they go to the next planet. They win there and there and there and there and just start wiping out this other race. They take out all their leadership. Their leadership goes to this planet where you can't go. There's like an ion field or something. And they go there anyway. And it's a woman, and she just chases this guy and chases him and chases him and chases him. And eventually when she catches him, he's like a deer who has run too far. And she captures him, and they invent technology that gets her off the planet. And they're like, the ones that run? That's kind of not right. And she's like, that's a translation error. We're the ones who chase. Yeah. And that is just typical of all these stories. Humans, regardless of where we start, are the heroes of it, and it gets a little redundant.
Yeah.
It's always that some particular attribute of humanity sets them apart from any other race. Really, sometimes it's just our love for our children. There's one where like we were already beaten and enslaved, but like a video went out of one of the aliens killing a baby in a mother's arms, and then her beating the alien to death before being killed, and like it just sparks this revolution that spreads like wildfire because everyone sees that video. And so it's usually different. They pick a different attribute every time. I like what's that form of hunting where you just chase them until they die? That
Pursuit
our ancestors
hunting,
persistence hunting or something.
Persistence. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I liked using that one as one of them. Those little sci-fi stories are fun.